V-Lock batteries that can power off USB-C. Nothing new, so what makes these ones special? Today we are looking at two brand new batteries from Swit, the Omni 99S as well as the Omni 50S right here. Now Swit did send me these batteries to review, however they have no say in this video whatsoever. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we've had other V-Lock batteries in the past that have USB-C power delivery. In fact, I've done a whole review about my favourite V-Lock batteries, the FXLions, and how great they were even a couple of years ago with that USB power delivery output. However, a few years has passed now, so you'd expect to see some improvements in the world, and that's where Swit have come in with these two new batteries. So what makes these ones special over those ones in the past? Well, the FXLions were actually only 45 watt output out of the USB-C, when it comes to these ones they can output up to 65 watts of power. That is actually really handy indeed, because it means you've got way more things you can actually power using a V-Lock battery. It's very handy, for example, if you want to charge your MacBook Pro off one of these batteries. It's going to charge faster or be able to keep its charge better being plugged into something that can provide 65 watts of power over 45. It also means for new lights such as the iFootage lights that I recently reviewed, which are really awesome and can be powered off USB-C, which is incredibly useful if you're in the middle of nowhere and you don't have any other options for powering the light. Well, having that additional output of the battery means suddenly you can have a brighter setting on the light as well. Its other upgrade over the competition, which I think is really cool, is its ability to show the time remaining based on the current draw that is coming from the battery. Now, of course, if you've got various different setups, that amount of battery life you're going to get out of one of these is going to vary. So the time remaining is going to vary as well. So I'm not going to give you exact times in terms of the expected battery life because it's going to really depend on your setup. But it's just so awesome to have the ability to be able to see how much time you have remaining rather than having to calculate it just based on the percentage on the screen. I do like the size and shape of these batteries. I do like the big button and the screen. The screen's nice and clear, it displays all the info that you need. It's also very responsive as well. That's something I had a problem with the FXLion. Sometimes you'd hit the screen button and it wouldn't update from its previous charge, which sometimes would panic you a few times because you'd look and think that you hadn't charged the battery when you had. But that's not been the case with the Swit batteries. They display the correct charge instantly as soon as you press the button. Also, an issue I had with the ZGCine battery as well is that one actually required you to turn the battery on and off using the button. Once again, that's not the case here. You activate it by pressing the button though, so if you want to get the USB-C ports actually working, you do need to press it, but you don't have to worry about turning it off to save battery life. It won't drain all its power when you're not using it. In terms of build quality, they are a bit plasticky, maybe not quite as well made as the FXLions. They are a bit of a stronger plastic, I'd say, but they are really well made. They're more than good enough, especially considering the price. I do like that they have actually given you a bit of a ridged edge to the side of the battery, just make it a bit easier to grip onto. I haven't used the Smallrig batteries myself, but I know a big criticism with those batteries is they're very hard to hold on to. And if you're quickly changing batteries on your camera setup, that's not great. You want something that you can actually grip onto, make sure that you have a firm grip when attaching and detaching batteries, because you don't want to be dropping them and damaging the pins on the bottom. In terms of outputs and features on the batteries, well, of course you can power off the pins if you so wish. You've got the D-tap on the side, as well as, of course, that USB-C port, as we've already mentioned. And there is also a USB-A port for other devices that perhaps only need 5 volts of power. And there is a DC barrel output as well. Personally, that's not a port that I ever use. I just always use either USB-C or D-tap, but I guess it's nice to have it there in case you're someone who does use that cable. Now, when it comes to picking between the 50 watt hour and the 99 watt hour batteries, why would you go for one over the other than the obvious size difference and of course the capacity difference? The 99S can actually handle a bigger power load, up to 150 watts compared to just 100 watts on the 50. So that might matter if you're plugging in multiple devices into one of these batteries. And that goes for the D-tap as well. So the D-tap on the 99S can go up to 10 amps, while only 8 amps on the 50S. This might be something you need to consider if you're thinking of plugging in a D-tap splitter and you're going to plug in multiple things like wireless transmitter, monitor, maybe something that draws a bit more power than usual. Probably better then to go for the 99S over the 50S in that case. Although both batteries do output 65 watts out of the USB-C port, the 99 watt actually can charge quicker than the 50 watt if you're using that USB-C. The 99 can charge up to 48 watts while the 50 can only charge up to 30. That might make a difference if you're thinking that you need to be able to charge these batteries quickly on set. Maybe you're cycling through different ones, and that difference in speed could be very important to you. So why wouldn't you go for these batteries? Well, to be honest, it's perhaps the fact that it is only 65 watts in terms of output of that USB-C. It's great, it's certainly an upgrade from other batteries in the past, but it is only equal to other options that are out there. The standard Smallrig battery, that can pretty much do these same things that this battery can do in terms of outputs and the power it can deliver. If you go for the Pro model, then that can do 100 watts, but that is much more expensive and not really comparable to these batteries in this price range. Other than that though, there's not really much you can say negatively about these batteries. They just do the job very nicely, and if this is the right price bracket for a V-Lock battery with the features that they have, then I think it is a great option to go for. As I mentioned, there are plenty of competition. There is the FXLion batteries, they're very well made, but with the 45 watt output, they are starting to show their age a bit, and I think some of the newer options out there, such as these Swit ones, are probably better if you're going to go for it right now. Also, as I mentioned, there is the Smallrig batteries. They are more expensive and pretty much identical to these Swit batteries, so if it's a choice between the Swit and the Smallrig, I'd probably just go with the Swit as they are more affordable. There are the Smallrig Pro batteries, which include 2 USB-C outputs as well as a 100 watt power delivery, and that is a big upgrade, but you are then paying a lot more for the batteries. Finally, there is the ZGCine batteries that I reviewed, a very cheap and cheerful option, but the build quality of that one wasn't as good as this one, and the on-off feature was a bit of a pain to use. Who's this for? Well, anyone that needs V-Lock batteries that can do USB-C power delivery up to 65 watts. I just think they're just so useful nowadays in the filmmaking world, and they're really quite affordable. They're quite small, they don't really take up any more room in your camera bag. Even if you just use normal camera batteries in your setup, I really would recommend that you look at picking up a V-Lock battery such as these, because it's great to be able to have as a backup, that you can charge things off. If you say have an FX3, you can charge your camera, even if it's not while you're actually shooting. You can just plug in one of these batteries to top it up when you need to, but it also has all the other features as well in case you need to run it on for light or whatever you might need it for. It's just such a versatile battery to have. So there you go, that is the Swit Omni V-Lock batteries. Two great options if you're looking for V-Lock batteries that can do USB-C power delivery. A very affordable option, I think definitely one you should consider. If you've enjoyed this video, then check out my other videos where I talk about V-Lock batteries, including the FXLions, which are absolutely awesome. And why not also check out that review of the iFootage lights as well, because being able to power your lights off USB-C is incredibly useful.